Hey, what's going on? It's Justin from Horrible Home Video. And I was just wondering, have you ever seen that episode of Tales from the Crypt? I'm sure you have. It's called Television Terror. This episode opens on the Crypt Keeper shouting out my channel because he's the best.
I just love home videos, especially
Horrible Home Video.
Hey, that was really him saying that too. The story begins in front of an old spooky house. On the steps, we see tabloid news show host Horton Rivers, played by Morton Downey Jr., doing the intro for his sensational live event, Haunted House Special for television. And wait a minute, hold up. You recognize Horton, by the way, right? He was also in that episode of Monsters called A Face for Radio, where he was on live radio as an Art Bell-esque character who is consumed by an alien that a woman brought in to show him. And if you missed that, the link is on screen now. Horton tells of ghosts haunting the Ritter house after a ceremonious scissor cutting of police line tape from a crime scene which happened half a decade ago. I mean, hey, it looks good for TV, right? Horton's special is investigating a house where a dozen people were violently laid to rest by Ada Ritter, who, after the bloodbath of a dozen people, then finished herself off. There is speculation that the house is full of ghost activity. Sam here says they got the psychic as Horton requested, a man named Wirtschafter. But Horton says, hey man, like this guy looks all dumb and shit. Anyway, Sam here goes over guest ideas for other episodes of his shock television program. Horton makes sure to remind Sam that they are knocking boots and that she needs to just get the killer instinct in her like he has when it comes to the show business, which leaves her a bit frustrated and bothered. Now Horton is inside the house and back on the air, making sure to play up the horrors of the house, waving a knife around and showing rats in the house to the camera, which one of the producers says is Horton's family members. Now for the most part, Horton shows off a lackluster, empty, abandoned house, nothing out of the ordinary, while intercut images of gruesome, bloody scenes of death briefly flash on screen as Horton tells the tale of Ada Ritter. Well, Horton is told by Sam that the producers are complaining of the show's boring pace and this pisses him off, but just then he hears ghostly moaning, so he rushes to the next floor up to see what it could be, which begs the question, if Horton hears a ghost, should he call his live special program Horton Hears a Boo? I know, thank you. I'll be here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, the camera feed is interrupted, and while investigating the next floor, they hear water drips, despite the water having been shut off for years. Horton follows the sounds of dripping water to the bathroom, where he finds a bloody old man with his throat cut open in a tub. But by the time his cameraman shows up, there's nothing to see. Now Tripp is the cameraman, and as his feed returns and the show comes back from commercial, things begin to shake and fall all around them. This is all caught on camera, by the way, including a door breaking and dripping blood. Horton proclaims this is the first time any such paranormal event has ever been caught on film. Horton is now talking live with the psychic Wirtschafter, who tells Horton he was in danger the moment he entered that house. Horton hears more moaning and begins to get candid with the audience, pleading with them that there's something there with him, and continues that he isn't sure if it's real or a hoax, but that he plans to get to the bottom of it. Horton sees blood and asks Tripp to bring his camera to show the blood to the audience at home, only to discover Tripp is somehow hanging from the ceiling by his neck. Wow, how did he do that? If Tripp is busy hanging around, then who has the camera? Oh my god, it's an old fat ghost man. Naturally, Horton runs to the stairwell, as fat old ghost men cannot run very fast. He knows he can get away, but as he gets to the stairs, it's a bunch of old nasty ghosty ghoulies moaning at him, calling him daddy too. For some reason, one ghastly granny is chasing him with a chainsaw, which is kind of badass. Never heard of a chainsaw ghost before, and this particular one just so happens to be the ghost of Ada Ritter. Horton begs for help. Sam realizes the ratings are through the roof, so instead of pulling the plug and helping Horton, she says the show must go on. A curtain rope is wrapped around Horton's neck, his chest sliced open by Ada's chainsaw, and then he is pushed outside the second floor window. And all of this is captured on camera on live TV. I also imagine they probably got fined for this too by the censors. The whole world sees Horton die on live TV as Sam realizes the events that have just unfolded were in fact real. And then we cut back to this cool ghoul, and he just basically says that you should like and subscribe to my channel. And speaking of which, consider joining us on Patreon. And a quick special shout out to our newest member on Patreon who just joined us, Amanda. Thank you for joining us, by the way. And remember that episode of Monsters I mentioned earlier? There it is. And my most recent video is to the right of it. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you tomorrow.